Van Ryken Productions presents Blood Noir.
Last time, on Blood Noir, Maeve and Boris had quietly investigated Sinclaire headquarters, searching for a service entrance. They had circled the building, observing people coming and going, particularly looking for service workers who could guide them to an entrance. As they walked down a dimly lit hallway, they encountered two strangers who discussed their desire for fresh prey. A brief fight ensued, but Maeve and Boris prevailed. Sterling and Henry had opened the elevator door to the 35th floor, searching for clues. They had explored the dimly lit hallways, finding locked doors along the way. Eventually, they stumbled upon a peculiar room with a glass front wall containing a rock garden and a mysterious book that appeared to contain information related to the blood token. They had taken the book and left, sensing possible trouble. Carlyle had presented to a group of businessmen, hoping to secure investments in Sinclaire Industries. Despite his persuasive presentation, the businessmen had declined to invest at that moment due to perceived volatility. In response, Carlyle and his vampire henchmen swiftly eliminated the dissenting businessmen. Afterward, Carlyle had sensed a strange pulse and had realized that the book from the mysterious room had gone missing. Frustrated, he ordered a lockdown of the building and launched a search for the book. The story continues now on Blood Noir. Sterling and Henry emerged from the elevator and rounded the corner into the main lobby of the Sinclaire Industries building to find Boris and Maeve waiting for them. The three security guards lay in an unconscious heap nearby.
You two have been busy.
As have you. Henry, good to see you again. You look like you've been hit by a truck.
Yeah, I feel like it too. It's good to see you both. Are you two all right?
Had a bit of a scuffle in the basement, but we're fine.
What is that book, Henry?
Not sure, but it's got pictures of the blood token in it. Must be important.
We'll get it to Carl to figure out. Let's go.
Awfully convenient that we can just walk out through the front door.
No sooner had he said the word door did Sterling hear the sound of several sets of footsteps coming from the nearby stairwell. Three men burst through the door.
Damn, run!
They're just familiars. They can follow us outside. We have to take them out.
Great.
Henry, get away. You're injured.
The men rushed them, one of them wielding some sort of pole, another a knife. The other was empty-handed, but they all looked tough. The brawl was over seemingly as soon as it began. The three Sinclaire goons lay still on the floor. Sterling nursed his jaw where a fist had caught him.
I'm not getting paid enough for this.
Let's go.
The group groaned collectively as more of Sinclair's men entered through the front door and yelled for them to stop where they were.
Down the stairs! There's a service tunnel in the basement. We can lose them in the process.
Is the car where we left it?
It should be.
2 blocks away.
You can't get away from me, Henry. You and your syndicate friends are gonna die here.
Damn it! It's Sinclaire! Keep running!
They plunged down the stairwell and burst through the metal door, tearing off down the hall. Maeve led the way through the twisting and turning corridors. They cried out in surprise as two figures emerged from a hallway ahead of them, long fangs bared.
I'm tired of this.
The two bodies hit the floor immediately, squirming in pain. They ran past their downed forms.
Where's the exit?
Not far now.
They came to another metal door and pushed through into the outside. The sun was riding low in the sky.
We must go. Carlyle's men will be able to roam free soon. Not just the familiars.
They arrived at the car several minutes later.
Where are we going?
To the motel to get Evelyn. Then to the safe house. It's about to get very dangerous.
Isn't it dangerous now? I thought vampires could go out during the day. Which, by the way, is insane.
If they take precautions, they can go into the sun. But it is still very painful to them. They won't do it unless they have no choice.
Carlyle considers familiars after us now, but they are slow. When night falls, the real trouble starts.
Did you kill those two in the tunnel?
I doubt it. The only surefire way to kill a vampire is by decapitation or a stake through the heart.
Great.
The car tore through the streets of Silvercrest, headed for the no-tell motel Evelyn had been staying at. Time was of the essence, and danger was looming. Evelyn paced nervously about the motel room. She'd been going out of her mind with nerves and boredom. Earlier, she had dared to venture into the city to a department store where she purchased a wooden baseball bat, mostly to soothe her anxiety. She wasn't sure she would be able to use it if she needed it, but having it made her feel better. She glanced at the clock. 4 p.m. She wondered if she would receive another visit from Boris today. He said he would be back for her. She worried for Henry. Where was he? Was he alive? No sooner had she had that thought than a pounding at the door startled her from her thoughts. She immediately grabbed her bat from where it lay against a far wall. The banging came again, and Evelyn raised the bat, closing her eyes as she waited for the door to be broken open.
Evelyn! Evelyn, it's Henry! Open the door!
Evelyn's eyes snapped open and her heart skipped a beat. Henry? Here? It couldn't be. She moved to the door.
Say something only Henry would know.
I proposed to you at Cunningham Square. We had ice creams, and I was so nervous I dropped mine all over you. I panicked and said, let me get to the pint.
Henry, it is you!
Evelyn was taken aback. There was her Henry, a beaten, bloodied mess, accompanied by Boris and 2 people she didn't recognize. She cried out with relief, dropping the bat and throwing herself into her husband's arms, immediately bursting into tears.
It's okay. It's okay.
Henry, I was so worried. Where have you been? What's going on? Why do you look like you've been in a fight with a car?
Yep. I'll explain everything, but you gotta let me go. My ribs are broken, I think.
Sorry. Hi, Boris. Sterling? Well, the nose is an improvement.
Good to see you too, Evelyn. Are you all right?
Beyond going out of my mind here? Yes. Please tell me it's safe to leave.
No, but we're taking you someplace else. We'll explain everything there.
All right, let me get my things.
As they waited for Evelyn to gather her belongings, they exchanged nervous glances. The sun would be down in a couple of hours. While they could certainly make it to the safe house in time, what they were going to do after they got there was unknown.
All right, I'm ready.
It'll be a tight fit in the car. Henry, you up front. You're wounded. Evelyn, you squeeze in between Maeve and Sterling. Let's go.
So, do I get an explanation, or...?
Patience, miss. Once we're at the safe house, all will be made clear.
Evelyn made herself busy by fussing over Henry best she could from the back seat. He waved her off, insisting he was fine. Eventually, they parked the car a suitable number of blocks from the safe house and quickly made their way. Once they arrived at the dusty old apartment, Boris made sure to lock each lock, of which there were several.
Let's get comfortable. We're gonna be here all night. Henry, do you remember how to arm the traps?
I haven't been gone that long, Maeve.
Arming traps? What is happening? Henry, how do you know these people? Why are we here? Someone has to tell me now.
All right, Evelyn. I'm gonna say this once, and once only. You're scared, I know. That's all right. But we have to make sure that this safe house is secure and that everyone in it is safe. You will get your explanation when it's damn well time and not a second sooner. Have I made myself perfectly clear?
Fine. I'll go sit over here.
Eventually, Sterling, Maeve, Boris, and Henry had fortified the apartment, boards being nailed over windows, doors rigged with tripwires, and a gun in everyone's hand, courtesy of the stash found in the back room. They all huddled together in the living room of the apartment, with only a candle for light. They dared not turn the lights on, as Boris felt they would be found too easily. When everyone had settled in, they finally began to bring Evelyn up to speed about the vampires, the Syndicate, and Carlisle.
So you're telling me that not only are vampires real, they're controlling half the city?
The other half is controlled by werewolves. If that helps.
It doesn't. Just... what? What? You know, you all sound insane.
I felt the same way. It's real.
And where are the werewolves?
Auspiciously missing, it seems. I think it would make the narrative too complicated.
What do you mean?
Forget it.
And you two are members of some group that hunts monsters?
Yes. The Syndicate.
You're all insane! Henry, you want me to believe that you're also in on this? That you've been lying to me for our whole marriage? And that you actually hunt vampires for a living?
I had to lie to protect you, but yeah. And I'm definitely a real estate broker. That much is true. The Syndicate needs all kinds of talent.
I just can't believe any of this. This is insane!
Evelyn,
What?
you need to commit. It makes everything much easier.
Didn't think that table would turn on me. Fine. Vampires are real, and they're after us. Why?
Like we said, I stole something important from Carlisle Sinclair. Some sort of vampire artifact. It's called a blood token. Some sort of religious artifact for vampires. We found a book that has to do with it. It's definitely important for some reason. We need a contact of ours to figure out what it says.
So, what's my part in all of this?
You're caught in the crossfire. Your part is to stay hidden and safe.
Well, that hardly seems fair. I'm caught up in this too. There must be something I can do.
Can you fight?
Well, no.
Can you fire a pistol?
I don't think so.
Maeve, take it easy. Sweetheart, listen to me. Going out there, you put yourself in danger that you're not prepared for right now. I can show you things in the future. Teach you how to shoot, how to fight, if you really want. But for now, you have to listen to us and stay hidden.
But that's not...
I know it's not fair, but I don't want to see you get hurt, or worse.
Fine.
Good girl. Now, Loris, Maeve, what's the plan?
Tomorrow Maeve will visit Carl at the library and have him look at the book. Sterling, I'd like you to go with her.
Why me?
You have how you say, analytical mind? Well, that hasn't been put to use running around Sinclaire Industries. Plus, Sinclair's men might know you by scent now.
You made me put on all that makeup, gave me a fake license and a fake name. And you're telling me they'll know me by the way I smell?
A slight oversight on my part. We need you under the radar for a day or so. I will be on damage control. Henry and I are going to visit an acquaintance of mine, a vampire spawn turned informant for the Syndicate. He might know more about this whole situation.
All right, fine. It's getting late. Let's turn in. Who wants to take the first watch with me?
I will.
Wonderful. All right, there are 2 bedrooms. Henry and Evelyn will take one. I will take the other until my watch. Then Sterling and I will share the living room.
As everyone made their way to bed, Sterling stepped into the bathroom to wash off his makeup, and afterwards he and Maeve sat quietly together in the living room. Eventually, the vampire hunter could not stand the silence and walked into the kitchen. She returned with a bottle of whiskey and 2 snifters.
You think now's the time to be drinking?
Not too much, but don't pretend you aren't sloshed right now. I see you drinking from that flask of yours all the time.
All right, you got me.
They sat in silence for some time, each sipping their whiskey, eyes focused on the front door and windows of the room. Sterling lit a cigarette and offered one to Maeve, who accepted. Finally, Sterling broke the silence.
So, Maeve, how'd you get into all this mess in the first place?
Maeve cradled her glass in one hand, her stare blank.
I had a husband a long time ago. Seymour. He was killed by a vampire in our home. We'd been married 6 months. That's when I learned those things were real. I was only 21.
What did you do?
I ran. Abandoned our house, moved to Silvercrest, got a garbage apartment for cheap with the money we'd saved, and tried to live a normal life.
But I'm guessing life had other plans.
Quite. The vampire that killed Seymour had been looking for me, and one night, he found me. I would be dead if Boris hadn't shown up with a stake. That's the day I met him. I've been with the Syndicate ever since.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
It was a long time ago, but thank you. What about you? Why private detective? Why not be a policeman?
I was. For a while. Finished the academy. Was a beat cop. Then I started to see the truth of things. Higher-ups taking bribes. Dirty cops covering up for the mob. Innocent people getting set up for some garbage a cop did. I couldn't do it. I quit. And got my private license.
And now you're with us. How do you feel?
I feel like I'm crazy. If I hadn't seen it all, with my own 2 eyes, I'd have never believed you. I wish I could go back and not see it.
It's not something you forget, believe me.
Hey, thanks for the backup earlier. That could have been a whole lot worse than it was.
Don't mention it. I was doing my job.
Sterling nodded, and a moment later, they both darted their eyes to the front door as they heard noise from outside. It sounded like shuffling and scraping. They quickly snuffed out the candles in the room and were plunged into darkness. They heard indistinct voices from outside.
Well, the boss says we gotta search the city. This is part of the city.
Ain't nobody in these buildings.
Don't matter.
Look, this one's all boarded up. Come on, I'm starving. There was that homeless guy a few blocks over. He'll do.
You are damn shameless. You could do better than some hobo.
Not if I don't want boss finding out. I ain't Strigoi.
The voices faded away and Sterling and Maeve let out a sigh of relief. They whiled away the rest of their watch in darkness. Carlisle Sinclair stood in his penthouse office in a fresh black suit with a glass of scotch. His other hand held a lit cigar that he seemed to have forgotten about. He stared out of the large window behind his desk, looking out over the darkened skyline of Silvercrest. He had sent every available man to find Henry and the others who had infiltrated his tower and stole his book.
I need that damn book. Everything rides on this. I'm running out of time.
He looked up at the moon, which was large in the sky, but not quite full. Still a couple of days left. His reverie was interrupted by a knocking at his office door. A loud knock.
Come in.
The door opened and the largest man Carlisle had ever seen ducked under the doorframe and stood to his full 7-foot frame. He had long, greasy-looking hair and his eyes bore a wild expression. His fingernails were overgrown, almost claw-like, and the large coat he wore was battered and worn.
Ah, Strigoi, how lovely of you to join us.
You wanted to see Strigoi?
Yes, in fact. Can I offer you something? Scotch, cigar?
Yet.
Very well. Please have a seat.
No.
Okay, then.
Carlisle set his glass down and took a long puff on his half-burned cigar before setting it into an ashtray on his desk.
Strigoi, you work for me, correct?
Da.
And I pay you handsomely, do I not?
Yes.
So, would you care to explain to me why you've been draining random city people when I've expressly forbidden any vampire in my control from feeding on the living, except in my hostels?
Strigoi straightened his back, revealing his full height. Carlisle resisted the urge to step back. Of all the vampires he had ever turned, Strigoi was the only one who made him a little nervous. He was vicious and merciless, a brutal killer who, while very effective as an enforcer, was a bit of a wild card.
Strigoi must feed. Your little blood bags and drug addicts do not satisfy Strigoi.
Well, this needs to stop. I can't have unwanted eyes in our operation right now. Do you hear me? You will make do with what everyone else is making do with.
Strigoi will not.
Listen to me, you overgrown leech. The only reason I haven't killed you yet is your usefulness as an enforcer. If you refuse to do as I say, I may have to reconsider our arrangement.
Strigoi bared his wicked fangs.
And the only reason Strigoi has not killed you yet is because you pay Strigoi very much money. Strigoi will do as he please.
I have had enough of this rebellious attitude of yours. You are not a true vampire. You are my spawn. I created you. Your job is to obey. My compensation is out of the kindness of my heart.
Carlisle's eyes glowed red in the dim lighting of the office. There was an energy about him, a powerful presence that made even the monstrous vampire step back.
Yes, master. Strigoi forget himself. Strigoi will do as master asks.
Very good. Now, this isn't the only reason I brought you here. Earlier today, a group of people stole into this tower and took something very important from me. A book. I will need this book quite soon. I would like you to find the ones who stole it and return it to me.
And why does Master ask this of Strigoi?
Because I've been told that among them was none other than one Boris Kasimov, your older brother.
Strigoi's terrifying visage broke into a wide grin.
Strigoi will take much pleasure in job, Master.
Good. The others were an unknown syndicate member, Henry Lemieux, and a private eye by the name of Sterling Angrave, who was using a fake identity. Find them. Take the book and bring it to me. Right away.
And what about the people carrying them?
Let them scurry away. We don't need more bodies turning up, do we, Strigoi?
Strigoi nodded and turned away. Carlyle did not see his expression change to one of pure malice and hatred. The giant vampire lumbered from the room. Sinclaire went back to his spot at the window.
He had better not fail me. If I don't get that book and token back by the full moon, all of this is for nothing.
Blood Noir, Episode 8, featuring the voice talents of Aubrey Akers as the narrator, Chris Wentworth as Sterling Angrave, Alina Masquerade as Evelyn Lemieux, Melissa Sackerson as Maeve, S. Levins as Boris, Daniel Collette as Henry Lemieux, Steve Jones as Carlisle Sinclair, Sean O'Loughlin as Strigoi, and Gerald Van Ryken as miscellaneous voices. Written by Gerald Van Ryken, directed by Adam Blanford. Sound effects provided by freesound.org in the public domain. Covert Affair, Trouble with Tribals, Night on the Docks, Sax, Lightless Dawn, Ossuary 6 Air, and Vibing Over Venus was composed by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/4.0. Blood Noir by Gerald Van Ryken, copyright 2024. This production is copyright 2024, Van Ryken Productions.